here to review Justice League number 7. Guys, for the last 6 issues, we have had the Justice League trying to battle against the totality, or at least prevent the Legion of Doom from gaining control of the totality, which is this powerful energy source, which we believe to be of negative energy that bombarded the Earth, or at least crash landed on the Earth, or it seemed to target the Earth after the source wall came down at the end of the Pages of Metal. And we got Lex Luthor, whose father left him basically a doorknob, which was a piece of the totality, which seems to have some sort of connection to 7 deadly forces, only two of which we know about. The Still Force, which is sort of the opposite of the Speed Force, and we've already been introduced to the Ultraviolet Core, which is now controlled and led by Sinestro. The Ultraviolet Core being this sort of feeding on the negative energies and all the negative emotions that one has, sort of adding another color to the emotional spectrum, but this one being far darker and far more powerful, and that has sort of poisoned and manipulated John Stewart, Green Lantern, in the previous 6 issues, and he's slowly getting out of that. In the meantime, last issue ended with Lex Luthor basically winning the day, defeating Batman in a very egregious fashion. Batman seemed to have all his bones broken in his body, and so Lex Luthor managed to defeat Batman and to actually gain complete control of the totality, and Lex Luthor basically wished all the heroes away, and so they all ended up back at the Hall of Justice, because that's where Lex Luthor sort of wished them all away, and they ended up there and they were defeated. And Lex Luthor was surprised to find at the beginning of this issue that he could not wish away Hawkgirl. There's something about Hawkgirl that his power of his connection to the totality, his connection with that doorknob that he used to kill Vandal Savage with, that it doesn't seem to have an effect on Hawkgirl. Now, why would that be? Well, probably the best guess is that it has something to do with Hawkgirl's wings, which we know to be made out of nth metal. Now, nth metal has quite a long history in the DC universe. Nth metal, of course, as being something that's always been connected to the Hawkman and Hawkgirl universe. Nth metal routinely gives people the power of flight, extra healing, super healing ability, extra powers, extra strength, etc., etc. It seems that nth metal seems to have a different effect depending on how it's used and how much what strain of nth metal might be contained in whatever suit you might be wearing, or in this case, in the case of Kendra Saunders, it makes up her wings, because there's something about Kendra Saunders, the nth metal that she has, that prevents Lex Luthor from utilizing his connection to the totality to eliminate Hawkgirl. And we're not exactly sure how or what, but that's going to have to be revealed in some future issue. Now, I'm told, or at least if I understand, that issue 8, next issue, we're finally going to be starting to get some answers here, because we still only know of 2 forces. Now, the Still Force in this issue, Barry Allen. There's the art here by Jose. The art is Jim Shuang, or Chung. I just butchered the per artist's name. I know he's Jim Chung. He's known for a lot of his Marvel Comics work. The art here is not bad. It was a little bit, I don't know. I think it could be better, but it is what it is. There's a lot I have to say here, but I'm gonna try to give you the Coles Notes version as quickly as I can. Flash has to somehow become one with the Still Force in order to prevent what looks to be the totality from completely taking over the universe. Yeah, he has to access the Still Force to start the universe expanding again in order to close the door on Umbrax. And Umbrax is the dark force that I think has something to do with the Ultraviolet Core, which is led by Sinestro. Or Umbrax is the darker force that's coming into the universe through the totality. So somehow, it's not explained why or how, but apparently the Still Force is so powerful that if Barry Allen can access the Still Force, He needs to start expanding the universe again. That'll start expanding the universe again, and that will somehow close the door of Umbrax infiltrating our universe, because our universe will expand, and somehow our universe expanding is going to keep him out. That doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't it make more sense that if our universe is expanding, if we expand our universe more, isn't it easier to get into? I don't know. This is my problem. I still don't really understand exactly what we're fighting, what the Justice League is fighting. There's some cool dialogue moments here, and there's some good ongoing joke about, the various members of the Justice League talking about, imitating Batman's voice, and Superman gets a good Batman moment where he imitates Batman, and then even Batman does himself rather well in here. So I think there's some good character moments here that Scott Snyder's done. I think where it needs some work, or I think where it's less satisfying, is with respect to the overall plot itself. I got an idea of what's going on. I just don't got a really good handle of what's going on. I wish it was a little bit more clear. Also, in defense of the artist Jim Cheung, I don't know if it's possible to really convey convincingly what Scott Snyder wants to tell here, because even the dialogue itself is not clear as to what's going on in terms of the we have a still force, we have an ultraviolet force. We don't know what the other 5 forces are, and it's not clear why. Why are they getting the Flash? I mean, follow me on this one. Flash is fast, so he's got a connection to the Speed Force, and even Flash himself admits that he's not used to going slow. But yet they're using the Flash to access the Still Force. Why would you use the Flash? Why would you use a speedster to access a force that very definition of which involves standing still? Why would you send Barry Allen? Isn't that the worst candidate you could use? I mean, I don't know. I mean, couldn't you just... I mean, you could almost get a quadriplegic meditating. They'd be a better chance of accessing the Still Force. Really? And I mean, yeah, why not have heck, you could introduce a quadriplegic hero, have some more diversity in the comic books. What the hell, I mean, Oracle could have sat there and just, picked her nose. I mean, sit still. It doesn't make any sense. And the other thing, John Stewart gives Barry Allen advice on how to access the Still Force. What the heck does John Stewart know about the Still Force? I mean, so much of this I don't quite get. I mean, it almost talks in philosophy, and it talks in a little bit of nonsense. I'm just trying to find it here. There's a spot where Barry Allen is talking to John Stewart. Yeah, John Stewart says to him, "But my body, Barry Allen says, it's my body, it's not built for slowing down." Barry Allen's very frustrated. He's not being able to access the Still Force, which again shouldn't surprise anybody. Why should he? He's a speedster. He says, "My body's not built for slowing down," and then John Stewart tells him, "And mine isn't built for speed, Barry, but here we are." He says, "Well, look, for too long I was stuck in place, letting my worst feelings hold me back." Because John Stewart, he felt guilty for his actions led to the destruction of an entire planet way back in the pages of a series called, I think it was Cosmic Odyssey. And anyways, John Stewart let his arrogance and his presumptiveness and his arrogance assume that he could defeat an enemy, but he ended up being unsuccessful in stopping the explosion of a bomb that was made entirely out of yellow, and it destroyed an entire planet. And Martian Manhunter never really forgave him for it. And that guilt, the guilt that John Stewart has had for that failure to save an entire planet because of his arrogance, was one of his weaknesses that Sinestro exploited in order to utilize an ultraviolet ring to take control of John Stewart and attack the Justice League at different points in the first 6 issues. Now, that's where he's saying... So John Stewart's saying to Barry Allen, "Look, I know what it's like to get stuck in place, letting my worst feelings hold me back." But he says, "Barry, you're the opposite. You're always moving. You're always in control." slowing down, it's about letting go, seeing things you might not want to about yourself and the world. So apparently slowing down and letting go is how you access the still force. Now, how John Stewart would know that, I don't know. It doesn't make, it seems odd to me that he would know anything about the still force. He didn't know anything about the ultraviolet core. And since when would accessing the still force is about letting go? That's exactly what Barry Allen did in order to access the speed force. In the pages of Flash War, he had to let go. I mean, so there's a contradiction here in terms of the and maybe it's just getting tied up in the language. But part of my criticism of this series is with these forces is that this is delving too much into the ephemeral, philosophical, and they're utilizing the same language back and forth, and at the end of the day here, it kind of seems a little bit confusing. Now, let's cut to the chase. Where's this all leading? Well, this is leading to the big philosophical, I guess, moment here, or the big revelation. It's not much of a revelation, and it's kind of a non-starter, and it's a very boring point, and it should have been, I don't know, it's not particularly exciting to me, as it should be. And that is that the totality, Hawkgirl defeats Lex Luthor, and they get, the Justice League now has the totality basically at the Hall of Justice, and there's a beautiful full-page spread here where the members of the Justice League, as well as some of the members of the Justice League Dark, they're staring at the totality, and Martian Manhunter expresses his fears that, what if the true nature of all of life is evil? What if the nature of the universe is evil? And I mean, then wouldn't that be depressing? Wouldn't that be horrible? What do we do? It sort of reminded me of what Einstein said. Einstein has that famous quote where he basically talked about, I can't remember the quote exactly, but basically Einstein suggested that, choose to believe in a friendly universe. I mean, you have a choice. You can either believe that your universe is bad, or you can believe that we live in a friendly universe. So we like to think we live in a friendly universe. Martian Manhunter is saying, good Lord, what if the nature of all mankind is evil? And in fact, that it's suggested that that's what Vandal Savage, who is one of the first, who is of course immortal, and when he first discovered that the true nature of the totality back, 100,000 years ago at the beginning of man, he saw that it was evil. The true nature of humanity wasn't particularly great. It was a horror that he felt should be kept secret. Lex Luthor, for whatever, wants to embrace it, and upon his failure to successfully attune himself to the totality for his purposes, at the end of this issue, Lex Luthor decides that he for some reason believes that if he teams up with the Batman Who Laughs from Metal, that somehow that's going to give him an inside track. So Lex Luthor was going to team up with the Man Who Laughs, and I don't, gotta be honest, that seems out of left field. Why would, it just seems so odd to me. I don't understand Lex Luthor's reasoning in there. We're going to have to wait and see. Also, we have a very odd appearance out of the blue while the Justice League is staring at the totality that they have encapsulated in some sort of entrapment in the Hall of Justice. Starman shows up. It's good to see Starman. He shows up and he says, I come from the past. I have all the answers you seek. But in order to learn them, 3 of you must die. Some more mysteries. We only know 2 of the 7 forces, and now apparently 3 Justice Leaguers have got to die to get the information from Starman, and I don't know. We're 7 issues in here. Is this? I mean, it just seems to me that I really don't like the way this is feeling right now. This is feeling like we're getting more mystery upon mystery upon mystery. We haven't gotten any answers to the questions that I'm interested in getting answers to, and we're getting more plot, and we're sort of missing the point that we still have answers from the previous storyline. So I don't know. I mean, again, here's the thing, guys. I'm interested in this, and I'm reading this, and it's okay. But there's something that's really preventing me from giving this an A+ reading. It's frustrating reading. It's frustrating. It reminds me, it's not quite as it's not quite as frustrating as Final Crisis was, but Final Crisis was really bad. I didn't like Grant Morrison's Final Crisis is a really awful series. One of the worst. I think I would never recommend it to anybody, because it's another. Final Crisis was a story where the concepts were so crazy and nuts that the artist failed to show what Grant Morrison wanted to convey in that story. And it was probably one of the most epic examples of a failure of narrative and a failure of art to convey the narrative. And you literally had to be told by Grant Morrison in interviews afterwards what he intended, because you couldn't tell by reading the actual series itself. At least I couldn't. I mean, I think there's 3 or 4 Morrison apologists out there that claim to know what Final Crisis was about, but I don't know. I think they got them locked in a vault somewhere. I don't know. Anyways, this is sort of I know Snyder's a fan of Morrison, and I keep saying this. Whenever any writer channels their inner Grant Morrison, usually bad stories happen. And this is more on the side of the negative than the positive. We need more clarity. And just like Grant Morrison's not particularly good at clarity, Scott Snyder here is channeling his inner Grant Morrison, and there's just nothing here that's really clear. We need an issue that explains what's gone on in just plain language. I mean, just plain language, what is going on. Don't speak in philosophy, don't speak in riddles. I mean, just tell us straight up. I mean, I can't believe that there isn't a single member of the Justice League that once would just say, am I the only one who's lost here? What the hell's going on? I mean, I can't believe that no one's actually said that. It seems like everyone in the Justice League seems to know what's going on. How? On the basis of what? No one's told them anything. Nothing's really been revealed. I don't get it. And so, I don't know. I'm frustrated. I hope things get better on this. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. But guys, tell me what you think. Please feel free to enlighten me if I've missed something. I welcome any comments that enlighten me. I got no problem saying, hey, you know what? Thanks for catching that. And I'll admit that I missed something. Please enlighten me if I missed something here, because I'm a little bit confused, but I'm excited. I'm still sticking with this. I'm going to give this issue a 5.5 out of 10, and I'm going to give the art a 6.5 out of 10. And until next time, guys, Comic Boom, out.